Hello everyone, and welcome to channel. Oh my god. Holden spills the whole dirty secret about Claire's pregnancy, the young and the restless. Victoria Newman never forgot the sound, a scream, raw, broken, echoing through the halls of society. Victoria, somebody get Victoria. The moment she heard Kyle Abbott's frantic voice, she knew something had happened to Claire. She ran through the crowded restaurant as chairs scraped, silverware clattered, and customers froze mid-bite. In the center of the chaos stood Kyle, his face drained of all color, staring at the front doors. Then Victoria saw who was staggering inside, not Claire, but Holden Burke, bloody, shaken, wild-eyed. He collapsed onto the floor. Victoria's heart dropped into her stomach. What happened? Where's Claire? Holden looked up, trembling lips, pale voice, barely forming words. She knows everything. Victoria knelt beside him. Holden, what happened? What does she know? Holden's voice cracked. The truth about the baby. Gasps rippled through the room. Kyle staggered backward as if struck. Victoria clutched Holden's collar. Tell me what you did. And that was when Holden whispered the three words that shattered the room. It wasn't hers. Society erupted, shouts, screams, gasps, disbelief, echoing off every wall. Victoria froze. Kyle collapsed into a chair, and Holden buried his face in his hands, because the nightmare was only beginning. The secret begins to unravel. Victoria dragged Holden into a private dining room. Start talking. She demanded. Her voice was ice. And if you lie, I swear. Holden held up a hand. No lies. I'm done. I can't keep this inside anymore. Kyle leaned against the wall, arms crossed, fury radiating from him. You'd better start, because Claire's missing and you're the last person who saw her. Holden swallowed hard, shaking. She wasn't supposed to find out. Not like this. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Find out what? Holden wiped his face. The truth about her pregnancy. Kyle glared. We already know the truth. The tests were inconclusive. Claire was confused. Holden slammed his fist onto the table. You think she was confused? Kyle, she didn't even know she was pregnant until I told her. Victoria stiffened. How did you know? She demanded. Holden hesitated. That's where the secret begins. Flashback the night at the cabin. Holden's voice dropped. It started the night of the cabin party, the night Claire argued with Kyle. Kyle looked away, jaw twitching. Holden continued. She was upset, drunk, barely standing. And when she left the cabin, I followed her. Victoria stepped forward. You didn't have permission to follow my daughter anywhere. Holden flinched, but didn't stop. Claire started walking toward the woods. She was crying, shaking, saying she couldn't be around anyone anymore. I tried to help, but she told me to leave her alone. She pushed me. Kyle's eyes narrowed, and then Holden swallowed. She fell. Victoria gasped. What? She slipped down the hill near the old well. Holden said quietly, I ran down after her. She was bleeding, disoriented. She kept asking where she was. She didn't know what was happening. Victoria covered her mouth. Holden's voice lowered. I carried her back inside the old gardener's shed. I put a blanket under her head, tried to clean the cut, but then she passed out. Kyle pushed off the wall. She passed out, so you left her there. Holden shook his head. I stayed with her all night. Victoria's voice sharpened. Stayed? How? What does that mean? Holden? Holden looked away. Nothing happened, I swear, but something else did. Kyle scowled. What? Holden's hands trembled when she woke up the next morning. She didn't know anything about the night before. She thought she fell asleep in her bed. Victoria felt her heart freeze. You didn't tell her? Holden shook his head again. No, because something else happened while she was unconscious. Kyle leaned forward, seething, spit it out. Holden hesitated, then finally whispered, I wasn't the only one who found her that night. Victoria's eyes widened, who? Holden swallowed deeply. That's the second part of the secret. The man who shouldn't have been there. Holden's voice was barely audible. There was another man at the shed. Victoria stiffened, who? Kyle's breathing grew heavy. Who was with Claire? Holden looked up, defeated. The room fell silent, utterly silent. Victoria's blood ran cold. Matt Clark. Holden nodded. Kyle kicked a chair across the room. Are you telling me that Matt was near Claire when she was unconscious? Holden winced. He wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't even know he was anywhere near the cabin. I heard footsteps behind me. When I was cleaning Claire's face, he told me he wanted to help. He said he saw her fall. Victoria leaned against the wall, trembling. Matt doesn't help people out of kindness. Not ever. Kyle's stomach twisted. What did he do? Holden closed his eyes. I went outside to get more water and bandages. I was gone for maybe 4 minutes when I came back. Victoria grabbed his arm when you came back. What? Holden whispered, voice shaking. Matt was gone and Claire, her blouse was shifted, her hair was messed up. She started to wake up, asking why she felt sick. Victoria felt the room spin. Kyle nearly lunged at Holden, but Victoria held out a hand to stop him. So you're telling me, Victoria said, voice thick with horror, that Matt Clark may have violated my daughter? Holden swallowed. I don't know. I didn't see anything. But Matt left without a word. Kyle shouted, and you said nothing. Holden's voice cracked. I didn't know what happened. Victoria's eyes filled with tears and the pregnancy. Holden nodded. That's the third part of the secret. The real reason Holden told her. Victoria steadied herself. Go on. Holden inhaled shakily when Claire started feeling sick. A month later, I recognized the signs. I took her to the clinic myself. I told her it might be stress, but I suspected it was more. Kyle whispered, and she didn't know. Holden shook his head. No, not until the test confirmed it. Victoria gripped the table. And what did you tell her? Holden's eyes filled with shame. I told her it must have been Kyle's. Kyle recoiled. What? Why would you say that? Holden's voice cracked. Because Claire was already overwhelmed, because she trusted you, because I didn't want her thinking of that night, and because I was afraid. Victoria's voice cut through the room like a blade. Afraid of what? Holden looked at her with haunted eyes. That Matt was the father. A deafening silence swallowed the room whole. Victoria stumbled backward. Kyle pressed a hand to his forehead, and Holden looked like a man preparing to be executed the night Claire learned the truth. When did she find out? Kyle whispered. Holden exhaled shakily. Tonight. Victoria's eyes snapped to him. How? Holden looked at the floor. She found the ultrasound envelope, the one I kept hidden in my car. She saw the date, she saw the location, and she knew I had lied. Kyle's voice shook with rage. She confronted you? Holden nodded. She screamed at me. Asked me why I hid everything, why I didn't tell her sooner, why I made her believe that the baby belonged to you or me. Victoria's face broke with agony. Where did she go? Holden swallowed. She went to find Matt. Kyle. Victoria gasped. She what? Holden buried his face in his hands. She said she was done being afraid. She said she wanted answers. Kyle cursed under his concerns about the proposal's timing, fearing it compromises her investigation and creates a public relations nightmare for the PCPD. She will reportedly meet with the district attorney to discuss whether the marriage could be viewed as obstruction of justice, creating additional legal peril that neither Drew nor Willow has anticipated. The Quartermain family mansion will serve as the backdrop for several key scenes leading up to the proposal, with family members expressing their varied opinions in typically dramatic fashion. Monica, remain ever the voice of reason, will caution Drew about moving too quickly, reminding him that his pattern of rushing into marriage has ended poorly before. Ned Quartermain, sensing an opportunity for LQ, will see the marriage as a way to stabilize Drew's public image and generate positive press for the family business. Tracy Quartermain, in a rare moment of wisdom, will deliver a bone-chilling warning to Willow. In this family, we marry for love, power, or survival. Make sure you know which one you're signing up for, because the Quartermain prenup has more traps than a minefield. These family dynamics add another layer of complexity to an already fraught situation. The question of whether Willow will surrender to Drew's marriage plea despite her lingering disdain and legitimate fears forms the cliffhanger that will keep viewers glued to their screens. Her decision will reportedly be made in the final moments of the November 28th episode, with a camera lingering on her face as she stares at the ring, at Drew's hopeful expression, and at the gathering storm clouds visible through the window, a visual metaphor for the tempest she is inviting into her life. If she says yes, the engagement news will spread through Port Charles like wildfire, generating confrontations, alliances, and potentially even violence as various players adjust to the new reality. If she says no, Drew's desperation may push him toward even more drastic measures, potentially exposing secrets that could destroy multiple lives either way. General Hospital spoilers confirm that Drew will pop the question and await Willow's answer in a moment that could redefine both their destinies. Next, we will learn about the shocking twist where Sonny Corinthos faces false murder charges over Professor Henry Dalton's death, all to save his beloved grandson, Rocco Falconeri, from a crumbling courtroom nightmare. Sonny's tense chat sparks major suspicions. Picture this in the gripping November 19th episode of General Hospital. Tension skyrocketed as Sonny Corinthos poured out his frustrations to Rick Lansing about the dire straits surrounding Rocco's trial. Sonny's voice dripped with raw desperation, confessing he hated the slim chances of victory in this high-stakes legal battle that could shatter his family forever. Rick, ever the cautious lawyer, issued a stern warning, urging Sonny to steer clear of any rash moves that might torpedo the delicate defense strategy they were building brick by brick. But Sonny, with his trademark mobster edge, dropped a chilling bombshell. No Dalton, no case, uttered so nonchalantly. It sent chills down spines, hinting at darker possibilities lurking beneath the surface. Rick tried to calm the waters, boasting confidently about his fresh legal maneuvers, poised to turn the tide. Yet in the twisted world of soaps, such loaded dialogue never slips in without foreshadowing chaos ahead. This exchange wasn't just filler. It's a neon sign pointing to the storm brewing for Port Charles' most notorious enforcer, the real killer's bloody secret, exposed. Flashback to the heart-pounding moment we viewers witnessed Jen Sidwell, cold as ice, firing fatal shots straight into Professor Henry Dalton, extinguishing his life in a brutal, calculated ambush that left no room for mercy, standing frozen in horror. Mere feet away was Britt Westman, her world crumbling as the gunfire echoed through the shadows, plunging her into a paralyzing shock that still haunts her every step. Britt's eyes locked on the horror, her mind racing with the weight of what she'd seen, a murder that could unravel everything if the truth escaped her lips. Sidwell's motive, pure malice, aiming to bury Dalton's lies and shift blame onto innocent shoulders, all while covering his tracks with surgical precision. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment act. It was a meticulously planned hit, with Sidwell vanishing into the night like a ghost, leaving only questions and a trail of deception. Laura's desperate call to the mob kingpin. Enter Laura Collins, mayor and pillar of Port Charles, reduced to frantic whispers on the phone as panic gripped her soul after stumbling into this deadly aftermath with no one else she could trust in that split-second crisis. Laura dialed Sonny Corinthos, her voice trembling as she begged for his unbreakable loyalty. Sonny didn't hesitate. He materialized like a shadow, assessing the grim scene with the calm expertise of a man who has handled far worse in his underworld reign. Together, they orchestrated a flawless cleanup, Sonny taking charge of the lifeless body with grim determination, his hands steady despite the risks. Up, Laura's heart pounded wildly, her mind flashing to the public clash she'd had with Dalton just days prior, making her a prime scapegoat in this web of deceit. Yet in Sonny she found her rock, a bond forged in shared secrets that now ties their fates inexorably. Jason steps in for the ultimate cover-up. Sonny wasted no time pulling in his most trusted ally, Jason Morgan, the silent enforcer whose loyalty knows no bounds, instructing him to whisk away Laura's car for a total vanishing act on Dalton's remains. Jason, with his ice-cold precision honed from years in the mob life, executed the task flawlessly, erasing every speck of evidence under the cover of darkness. Imagine the high stakes. Drive Jason navigating back roads, torching traces, ensuring Laura's vehicle returns, gleaming and pristine, as if nothing ever happened. No fingerprints, no bloodstains, no DNA whispers, just perfection that screams too smooth to be chance. This operation wasn't amateur hour. It was a masterclass in discretion, but in soapland. Perfection like this often unravels spectacularly, drawing unwanted eyes straight to Sonny's door. Sidwell's frame job unravels Laura's world sharp as ever. Laura pieced together the puzzle. Sidwell wasn't just the trigger man. Claire nodded weakly. Finally, the doctor returned with an update. Claire, the baby is under stress, he said, gently, but the heartbeat is strong. You need rest and absolutely no confrontations, no emotional strain, no physical stress. Summer's jaw clenched. So Kyle is banned from this hospital. The doctor didn't argue. Claire wiped her eyes. Summer, thank you. Summer squeezed her hand. I'm not doing it for Holden or for drama. I'm doing it for the baby and for you. Claire's face crumbled. So much has gone wrong, she whispered. I didn't even get to tell Kyle the truth. Summer frowned. What truth? Claire hesitated, then broke. The baby is his? Summer froze. Even after everything, all the lies, all the fights, Claire had been carrying Kyle's child the whole time. Kyle breaks down back at the Abbott mansion. Kyle sat on the floor, shaking violently. His mind replayed everything, the shout, Claire's face, her pain. I'm a monster, he whispered. Jack stormed in, having been called by a frantic housekeeper. What happened? Jack snapped. Kyle looked up, tears streaming down his face. I hurt her. He whispered, I scared her so badly she might lose the baby. Jack stiffened. What did you do? Kyle buried his face in his hands. I told her I was going to make her miss Scary. Jack inhaled sharply, horrified. Kyle, I didn't mean it. I don't want that. I was angry. Holden fed me lies. I thought that doesn't matter. Jack roared. Words have consequences, and Claire is pregnant. Kyle cried harder. I think the baby is mine. Jack's fury melted into raw fear. Kyle, you need to fix this, but first you need to get help. This rage, this is not who you are. Kyle nodded weakly, but is Claire okay? Jack shook his head. Summer took her to the hospital, and I doubt Claire wants to see you right now. Kyle swallowed, gutted, but then Jack said quietly, then you're going to fight to earn her trust back, and you're going to protect your child. That starts tomorrow. Kyle looked up with broken determination. I'll do anything. Holden returns to finish the job while Kyle drowned in guilt and Claire rested under medical supervision. Another shadow moved through Genoa City. Holden, he watched the hospital from across the street, leaning against a lamppost, smirking. So the baby survived, he muttered. He pulled out his phone and dialed someone. She's still pregnant, he said, coldly, and as long as that baby exists, my plan isn't over. He hung up, eyes narrowing with malicious satisfaction. Claire, my darling, Kyle, won't destroy you. Holden whispered, I will, and he stepped into the night ready for the next blow.